Welcome to Introspective English Hub. Today we embark on a soulful journey through Rabindranath Tagore's Gitanjali 63. After watching this video, you will learn about the poet, Rabindranath Tagore's contributions, about Gitanjali, its meaning and significance, poem analysis, a line-by-line interpretation, themes of the poem, key messages explored, poetic devices, literary techniques used, message of the poem, spiritual and philosophical insights. Check your understanding, a multiple-choice quiz to test your knowledge. Let's learn about the poet. Rabindranath Tagore was an Indian poet, short story writer, playwright, novelist, social reformer, and painter. He primarily wrote in Bengali, but gained global recognition for his literary brilliance. In 1913, he became the first non-European to win the Nobel Prize in Literature for Gitanjali, song offerings. His influence extended beyond literature. He composed the national anthems of both Jana Gana Mana for India, Amar Sonar Bangla for Bangladesh. His works and contributions left an everlasting legacy in literature, music, and social reform. Now let's learn about Gitanjali. Gitanjali was originally a collection of 157 poems in Bengali, published in 1910. The word Gitanjali is derived from two Sanskrit words. Gitai means song, Anjali means offering or tribute. Thus, Gitanjali can be translated as an offering of songs or song offerings. Later, in 1912, the English version, Gitanjali Song Offerings, was published containing 103 translated poems. However, the English Gitanjali is not a direct translation of the original Bengali collection. Instead, it is a selection of poems from Gitanjali and other works by Rabindranath Tagore. Most of the poems reflect spiritual devotion, surrender, and unity with the divine. The famous Irish poet W.B. Yeats wrote the introduction, helping the book gain international recognition. This English translation won Tagore the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1913, making him the first non-European laureate. Now we've looked at the poet's background. Let's dive into the poem itself. What does Rabindranath Tagore really mean in these lines? Thou hast made me known to friends whom I knew not. Thou hast given me seats in homes not my own. Thou hast brought the distant near and made a brother of the stranger. The poem opens with the poet's gratitude towards God for bringing him closer to humanity. Here, thou refers to God, the divine, or the supreme power. Tagore expresses gratitude for the connections he has formed with people he never knew before. The phrase, seats in homes not my own, suggests that divine grace has led him to be welcomed in unfamiliar places, making him feel at home even among strangers. Here, seats in homes not my own acts as a symbol. Seats in homes not my own represents being welcomed into unfamiliar places, emphasizing the universal nature of human connection. Again, distant near and brother of the stranger highlights how divine grace removes barriers, fostering love, unity, and inclusivity. Thou hast brought the distant near and made a brother of the stranger signifies the breaking of barriers between people. With divine guidance, even strangers become like family, emphasizing universal brotherhood and unity. The poet acknowledges how God has broadened his perspective, allowing him to connect with strangers and form bonds that transcend personal boundaries. These lines reflect the themes of universal brotherhood and divine grace. Now, let's move to the next part of the poem. I am uneasy at heart when I have to leave my accustomed shelter. I forget that there abides the old and the new, and that there also thou abidest. Here, the poet admits his hesitation and fear of change. He acknowledges his human tendency to feel uneasy when stepping out of his comfort zone. Accustomed shelter symbolizes familiar surroundings, comfort zones, attachments, and habitual ways of thinking. Through the phrase, old and the new, the poet reflects on the continuity of existence, where change is not a loss, but an evolution. He reminds himself that the old in the new exists, meaning that even in change and unfamiliar circumstances, there is continuity, and God is always present. Here, the poet highlights the fear of change, but also the reassurance that the divine presence remains constant through transitions. These lines depict the theme of change and divine presence. Now, let's move to the next part of the poem. Through birth and death, in this world or in others, wherever thou leadest me, it is thou, the same, the one companion of my endless life, who ever linkest my heart with bonds of joy to the unfamiliar. Here, Tagore expresses faith in God's guidance through all experiences, birth, death, and across different worlds, possibly referring to the spiritual journey beyond life. The same, the one companion of my endless life, emphasizes that God is the eternal presence accompanying him in all situations. Through the phrase, wherever thou leadest me, the poet surrenders completely to God's guidance, trusting the divine plan. The same, the one companion of my endless life, suggests that God is the only constant presence in his spiritual journey. Whoever linkest my heart with bonds of joy to the unfamiliar. This suggests that with divine guidance, even new and unknown experiences bring joy instead of fear. Through these lines, the poet enriches us with a spiritual message. The poet embraces the cycle of life and death, believing that God will always remain with him. The phrase, bonds of joy to the unfamiliar, suggests that even in uncertainty and change, there is potential for happiness, especially when viewed through a divine or spiritual perspective. It implies that embracing the unknown with faith and openness can lead to joy and fulfillment. These lines depict the theme of faith in the eternal presence of God. Now let's move to the next part of the poem. When one knows thee, then alien there is none, then no door is shut. Here, the poet realizes that once a person understands the true nature of God, the illusion of separation disappears, and all barriers, social, cultural, and personal, dissolve. Alien there is none means that all distinctions between people fade away. Everyone is seen as connected, as all beings are connected by divine love. Then there are no outsiders. No door is shut suggests spiritual enlightenment. Where no barriers or limitations exist, there are no restrictions, exclusions, or divisions, and one can embrace the world with an open heart. These lines depict the theme of unity of humanity and spiritual enlightenment. Now, let's move to the next part of the poem. Oh, grant me my prayer that I may never lose the bliss of the touch of the one in the play of the many. Here, the poet seeks to always recognize God's presence in the diverse, ever-changing world. He seeks to maintain this awareness and connection with God in all aspects of life. Bliss of the touch. The poet does not wish to lose his awareness of God's presence amidst the distractions of the world. The one in the play of the many. The touch of the one in the play of the many refers to the idea that despite the world's vast differences, everything is an expression of the same divine presence. There is a deep Vedantic idea that although the world is full of diverse experiences and forms, everything is a manifestation of one divine reality. Tagore ends this poem with a heartfelt prayer. He pleads never to lose the bliss of divine connection. He sees God in everything, the people, the world, and the simple joys of life. These lines depict the theme of divine oneness and spiritual awareness. Now let's discuss the summary and analysis. In Gitanjali 63, Rabindranath Tagore expresses deep gratitude to God for gifting him life in the vast universe, allowing him to experience its beauty and attain happiness. He acknowledges God's role in bringing people together, transforming strangers into friends and brothers. God has granted him love, recognition, and a place in others' hearts, making him feel connected to all of humanity. Despite this, the poet confesses his unease when leaving his familiar surroundings, forgetting that God's presence exists both in the old and the new. The phrase, accustomed shelter, symbolizes human ignorance and attachment to comfort, making people fear change. However, Tagore asserts that change is an inevitable truth. Though our senses resist it, we must embrace transformation as part of the divine plan. Drawing from Indian philosophy, Tagore affirms the cycle of rebirth and the immortality of the soul. He believes that God will remain with him through birth and death, guiding him in every existence. God is his eternal companion, linking his heart with joy, even in unfamiliar experiences. This realization leads him to spiritual enlightenment, where he perceives God not as a distant being, but as an all-pervasive presence within every aspect of the universe. Tagore concludes with a prayer. He pleads never to lose the bliss of divine connection, which manifests through the many forms of life. He views God not as an abstract entity or an incarnation, but as a universal presence, dwelling in nature, the simple, the poor, and the humble. The poet's sense of self dissolves into the greater cosmic unity, merging with the divine essence of all creation. Now it's time to discuss the themes of the poem, Universal Brotherhood. The poem promotes a borderless human connection fostered by divine love. Faith and surrender. The poet places complete trust in God's guidance, divine omnipresence. The poem emphasizes that God exists in everything, even in the unfamiliar. Fear of change versus spiritual growth. Initially, the poet fears leaving his comfort zone, but later realizes that God's presence makes change a source of joy. Self-realization and enlightenment. The poet concludes that recognizing God's presence removes all alienation and division. Now it's time to enrich ourselves with the message of the poem. This poem explores spiritual devotion, divine love, and the eternal bond between God and the human soul. Tagore expresses deep reverence for God's guidance, presence, and grace in every aspect of life. Faith over rituals. The poet emphasizes personal spirituality over formal religious practices, finding God through love, acceptance, and unity with creation. Universal brotherhood. The poem conveys the idea that God's presence unites all, turning strangers into friends and making new experiences joyful instead of fearful. Divine connection. Tagore highlights how God is always near, offering solace, satisfaction, and purpose in life's journey. Now, let's check your understanding. Answer these multiple-choice questions in the comments below. Question number 1. What is the central theme of Gitanjali 63? Option A, love and romance. Option B, spiritual devotion and divine presence. Option C, political revolution. Option D, nature and environment. The correct answer is option B, spiritual devotion and divine presence. Question number 2. What does the phrase, seats in homes not my own, symbolize in the poem? Option A, homelessness. Option B, the poet's physical journey. Option C, being welcomed in unfamiliar places due to divine grace. Option D, loss of identity. The correct answer is option C, being welcomed in unfamiliar places due to divine grace. Question number 4. How does the poet express his fear of change in the poem? Option A, by longing to stay in the same place forever. Option B, by resisting divine guidance. Option C, by admitting his unease when leaving his accustomed shelter. Option D, by expressing anger towards fate. The correct answer is option C, by admitting his unease when leaving his accustomed shelter. Question number 5. What message does the poet convey in the final lines of the poem? Option A, the world is full of suffering and despair. Option B, the divine presence is always within everything. Option C, only a few people are chosen for spiritual enlightenment. Option D, faith in God is unnecessary for happiness. The correct answer is option B, the divine presence is always within everything. Ultimately, Gitanjali 63 reminds us that life is a journey of trust, faith, and connection. Strangers become friends and the unfamiliar becomes home. That's all for today's lesson on Gitanjali Song Offerings 63. What are your thoughts on this poem? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Introspective English Hub for more literary explorations. For detailed study notes and more poetry explanations, visit our website, introspectiveenglish.com. See you in the next video.